Welcome to the first March edition of our Sam Houston Horse Racing Nation live stream. I'm Sara Elbadwi, coming to you from office. Unfortunately, I am flying solo without Ed this evening, but I will have Mark Midland joining in from a remote location throughout the stream. I will also be joined by a very special guest in Mike Rennie. Plenty of people have seen him on Twitter, bringing all the positive vibes to the Twitter atmosphere. And before we get started, make sure you are liking and subscribing our video. Some great action coming to you tonight from Sam Houston. We will have a little bit of a shorter live stream this evening just because Ed isn't here and Mark is remote, but great horse picks coming your way. And make sure that you are getting all of these Sam Houston power picks available for free at Horse Racing Nation because they have been on fire. 39.3% winners with a positive 15.7% ROI, 100% free. Head on over to picks.horseracingnation.com for all of your Sam Houston power picks. Horses are heading into the gate for race number 1. I'm going to use this time to introduce my guest and his thoughts on the first race as horses are loading. Mike Rennie. Sam Houston for tonight. Want to start off the first race here? We have $15,000 claimers. They're fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. And who do you like in here?
Yeah, I thought it was a race you could actually beat. The probably going to be maybe the top betting choice, the 5, Lady Fly Like Jet. I think it's a beatable horse. It was claimed here by Carl. Horse won here right there. So I feel like they've done enough. Now I put it back in the claimer for someone else to, share a victory. I actually like a price here. Distorted Flash. Flash some speed back here in claimers, right there, has some speed, almost won, likes the track, has made some money. So my top choice is going to be the 4 here. And then I would definitely love this 1. The 1's a really good horse. It just wins for whoever it's with. You can see here, boom, claimed, wins, claimed, win. So I think now it's back to claim, maybe takes the time off to, can lose. So I'd go with the 4 with the 1 for my top choices there.
I like it. Trying to beat some favorites early on. So way to go. So the first race is off right now. Unfortunately, 5 did scratch out of that first race, but Rennie is in here giving thoughts throughout the first 5 races of the sequence. I'll have a pick 4 ticket coming up as well. Currently, the 1 is on the lead at Sam Houston, doing it pretty nicely up there. I will be bringing Mark Midland in shortly. He is ready to go to share some of his thoughts and opinions as well for our card this evening. But it seems like it'll be a pretty formful opener as the 1 is starting to draw away right now. Jockey just took a look back and seems to be doing it pretty comfortably. So congratulations if you got the 1 on top in race number 1. Ended up just being a 4-horse field, but easy winner to get things started. And I'm going to bring Mark in so we can get some of his thoughts going as well.
Hey Sarah,
Mark.
how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, not so exciting with the 4-horse field to kick us off there.
Right. Who did you have?
I was looking at 2 about an hour ago and hadn't had a chance to look at the odds, but obviously the 1 figured pretty strongly there as well.
Absolutely. Horse made a lot of sense in there. And I think after the 5 scratched out, everybody was kind of like, all right, well, this is the last horse that makes sense on top in here. So.
Yeah, that's the tough problem with these short fields is it's and you've got a track that's, playing to speed already. So, it doesn't leave for much of a pace to develop.
Right. Definitely.
So that's great to get Rennie going. How so he's handicapped the pick 4 for us? Yep.
So I do have a ticket for him that I'll show right now. The 4 ended up scratching out of the 3rd leg of the sequence. So he told me that he's going to single Lady Avenue, or Lady Ave, who seems like the horse to beat in that race as well. So this ticket cost is down a little bit. He was going to do it for the $1 minimum instead of the 50 cent. So he, in leg 1, is going 1 through 4. In the second leg, the 7 and the 8. In leg 3, just the 5. And then in the 4th leg, the 1, 5, and the 6. So pretty reasonably priced. Did you have any pick 4 thoughts going forward?
I thought that that's interesting, his thoughts on spreading in the second race. I was looking more towards the 6 and the 7. It looked like there would be potentially a little bit more pace in there and a lot of kind of faint-hearted types. So was looking for, I mean, and then I thought that race 3 was a little bit more of a spreader. Thought the 8 looked good, and I see the 7, but I was also looking at the 3 and the 4 in there. So how did you see these next 2 going?
So in the next race, I kind of like just the 1 and the 4. I think that there's not a super competitive field in there. I didn't really like the 6 and the 7. Neither did Rennie, which he talks about in the clip that I'll show shortly for those races. And then in the 3rd race, I really like the 1. I think that Papa Justice last time out, this horse was closing into a fairly slow pace. and it doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of pace on. So I'm thinking if this horse has already shown the ability to close into a slow pace, is going to get a slow pace again, most likely. At least this horse can make up that ground, which, like you said, we know how good speed is here and everywhere. So if this horse has the ability to not be compromised by race dynamics, I'm very interested in this one at 9-2 on the morning line. And then going to the 5th race, I think the 5 is just going to be too tough for these. Or sorry, the 4th race. The 5 is just going to be too tough for these, and Lady Ave or Ave. The 7's a little bit of a question mark. I wasn't really interested in the Carl Broberg entry in the 1 and the 1A. And then in race 5, which will be the last one that we kind of go over, I think the 3 is going to be tough. This horse has hit the board in all of her races so far. And then I would also use the 5 and the 7 in there.
Yeah.
So I will get this track feed going. So now we're smaller, but prices for the first, $3.60 on the winner there. Just the exacta, no try, no super, 4 horse fields, some major scratches in there. But what's it feel like not to have Ed on the stream? I feel like so lonely here with nobody next to me.
It's a little different, right? Doing it, most people are, get the remote streams going. So it's great that we're normally able to do this in the office with the two of you right there together. So talk to me a little bit. Okay, so we got the second race coming up. About this race, I think it's a little bit interesting. I mean, the 6 is turning back from a route to sprint, so should have less speed in here. My concern with this race was, do the 1, 2, and 4 kind of all go out and kind of press each other and set it up for someone else? And that's why I was kind of looking at the 6 or the 7. I mean, admittedly, it's a weak group, and the 7 seems to run the same sort of third every time, but is finally kind of getting that class drop that it probably should have received a long time ago.
Right. I think so often when we see on paper a race where it seems like there might be some sort of speed developing, it just doesn't happen. And that's for all levels of races, dirt, turf, sprints, routes, whatever the case may be. Like, it might look like we might finally get a speed duel and we all get our hopes up, and then it just doesn't happen because nobody really sends and is aggressive for the lead. So I thought with this lower level, you have the 4 horse who is facing winners for the first time in Cher's Texas Bling. But this horse, she did take 6 tries to break her maiden. She did so on February 4th on a good track for this $15,000 tag. And I think a lot of times trainers will then, whatever price tag they break their maiden for, they'll drop them in for a lower level. But I think it's kind of an encouraging sign, or it may be a foolish one, like we'll see later, if she's staying in for the same level. So either connections think highly of her, or she's going to be so much so out of depth here. So we'll kind of just have to find out. But with this horse, the trainer is 12% with horses that have won their last start. And I do like that she has early speed and might end up being the speed of the speed in here. And with the 1, I thought that this horse would end up stalking and be coming slightly off the pace. She does have to get another half a furlong, stretching out from 5.5. But I thought that those 2 were kind of the main contenders. I just wasn't really interested in the 6, who's going to be a short price, going from the turf back to the dirt. She did break her maiden on the dirt at the $25,000 claiming level at a mile. But I think that this drop in class and coming second and off a layoff, I thought that at the short price, I kind of just wanted to look elsewhere. And then I really didn't like the 7 at all because I thought that aggressive drop in class might have been a little bit of a red flag. And if this horse is going off at 9-5 with no early speed and has such a significant drop in class, that just kind of turned me off of this one a little bit. So yeah, I get why she's the favorite, but I just wanted to look elsewhere.
Right. Well, and I get that, and although the 6 is not getting bet, so that's
I wonder if that's going to change.
Yeah. How do take a look at the will pays and see what they're looking like. Yeah, I mean, no, it's not really getting bet. I mean, it's the 4th choice in the will pays, so maybe not 7-1, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I guess mainly just kind of going off that one Remington race, and maybe that's not quite enough, but the price is pretty good. It seems like the 2 and the 4 are just like so faint-hearted, though. That was the thing that kind of I couldn't get. Really, the 1, 2, and 4. Maybe not the 4 as much. That might be. They're just so faint-hearted, If like they're
You
just
say
like
that about everybody in here, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, these other horses are just kind of slow plotters, right? But if they just kind of lean on each other, I feel like they're just going to fall apart. So that's why I was looking to the outside. But we'll see. Don't get down on my fast-paced races. That's how you got the Rebel long shot, right? I mean, or maybe you didn't. Maybe that's not how you got the Rebel long shot. But come on, that's too
You had
good
to bring it up
handicapping
so
in a
quickly,
good
didn't you,
pace.
Mark?
What's that?
Had to bring it up so quickly in the stream, didn't you? I'm never gonna live that one down.
You notice I don't even say that. What is the horse's name? I can't even say his name.
Un ojo, it means one eye.
Okay, yeah, and which is a great name.
Yeah.
But so, and I don't know how many people saw the 3-year-old allowance at Gulfstream today, right? With all those highly regarded 3-year-olds going a mile and 1/8. And what was his name? The 6 that was coming out of the Tampa Bay Derby.
I didn't watch a ton of Gulfstream today because I was prepping for later, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you might have, because we were talking about Shecky Shabazz and his
I know. I tuned in late, and I was like, wow, this horse really never wins. But I missed the one that you're talking about.
Okay. Well, it was an interesting race because Little Vic, he was the horse that broke from the outside in the Sam Davis and had shown a ton of speed that day. And Swing Shift was in there, so you had a Pletcher maiden winner. You had a Plisa maiden winner. And you had another Pletcher horse named in the Union. And one of them ran off. It was actually the Eddie Plisa, actually horse won twice. And in a mile and 1/8, he just completely ran off. So much so that on Little Vic, Paco was trying to rate him, and he was in second, like 6 lengths behind. And he's just trying to grab a hold of him just to stay as far out of the pace as he could. And it totally collapsed. And the top 4 choices all ran off or didn't win. And ended up being a Safi horse at 9-2 that won. So sometimes that's where like a lot of the funky stuff happens.
Yeah, I think that it's not impossible, but I think that more often than not, we're kind of like wishful thinking with pace. But it's never out of the question, and as someone else would say, that's why they don't run the races on paper. But I'm going to check in with the chat really briefly. I see that Ed is in here, and I'm going to bring up Josh, not Andrew. What are you guys doing with Lady Ave? Single and move on? For me, that's a yes. I had a little bit of interest in the 4 pick up the phone in that race. She ended up scratching, so in there, I think that that's a pretty solid single for me. Do you have any thoughts on her going through these multis?
I'm just looking at the Broberg entry. You said you were down on that. Them, particularly the 1A, looks a little interesting. I was just curious. I mean, it looks like her race is 3 and 4 back. Factual would get close. I guess again, there's just not a lot of speed for Lady Ave.
Lady A, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if she just gets in cruise control, that's just not going to matter.
I agree.
Yeah. So he's saying he liked the Broberg entry too, but hate to take the 1 and 5. Yep, exactly. Yep. It's tough. That's what's tough in some of these short fields is like, how do you, if you don't have a strong opinion, you hate to start spreading with a couple favorites.
Right.
And it's, I don't know. I mean, how do you're just going with the 5?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that if the 4 was in there, I would have used the 4 as well. But with the 4 being out, I think it's the 5's race to lose.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, I would like to say the 1A is almost as good as her, but at a big pace disadvantage, it just doesn't really work very well.
Right.
Okay, and then let's get back to the race 3. So we kind of went through this quick. And what were Rennie's picks again?
He likes the 7 and the 8 in race number 3. That's going to be Wits Taquito and the 8 American Made.
Yeah.
I'll show his pick 4 ticket again just so everybody can take a look at it. The 4 not being in leg 3, so he said he was going to single the 5 as well, which is Lady Av, who we've talked about. And then I do have another pick 4 in the chat. Jay is going to go with the 2, 4, 6, and 7 in here, then the 3 and the 8, singling the 5, and then going to the 1, 3, 4, and 7. And then Ed has some pick 4 thoughts as well. He's going 2, 7 with 3, 7, 8 with 5 with 4. And I know that he's not talking to any tellers for real, so he's just pretending in there. I wish I had candy this week so I wouldn't have to share it with anybody.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards those latter two you talked about, where they're 3-8 or 3-7-8 in the third. Just the 3. Yeah, that's. I'm kind of looking at the 3-7-8. You talked about hunk of a hit trying to. Papa Justice being able to close a little bit on a no pace race. I think the 4 D-Town Baby is sort of similar. It's just kind of hard to figure out for me. I have a hard time figuring out what to do with those. So I was looking at 3-7-8.
I think the 8 makes some sense, but I have written in my notes with a star next to it, this is a turf horse. So I wonder what the thinking is behind putting this one on the dirt in here, or maybe just couldn't find a turf race that fit the right conditions for this horse. So I'm curious to see how this one performs on the surface.
Yeah, it's a Bernardini, so you might think more dirt than than turf. So the stats I'm looking at right now, so dirt routes, they're 17% winners. Turf route, they're 9% winners.
Actually show those. I think these are not quite updated for last week, but for early speed on the dirt, we had a 32% wire to wire, 35% from the inside posts in there. And then for dirt sprints, you have 0% for closers, which I think this isn't quite updated for last week, but kind of alarming news in there if you like any closers going forward.
In the sprints for sure. I mean, it's just too hard to get up, and for whatever reason, you just can't close at Sam Houston sprinting. This 8 American Made I thought was interesting. At one point I was like, well, he's not going to get there in time. And then I realized he's stretching back out not stretching back out, but his race 2 back on the dirt, his only dirt race, was at 7. It looks like there wasn't a lot of pace. He broke from the 11 pole, post out of 12. And what I liked, it was just sort of that, just kind of plodding, keeps coming, right? 12th by 4, 7th by 2, 3rd by 3, 4th by 3. He's 5 wide, so you can kind of forgive him for that, and he's off a layoff. So I thought if he could put that type of run in, going 2 turns, that he'd be in a good spot. And wow, the 7 down to 1 to 5 here.
I know. I just noticed it 1 to 9, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And 1 to 5 is still ridiculous, but crazy. I'm going to go ahead and show Rennie's thoughts on this upcoming race and his ideas here. So let's get that rolling. On to race number 2. Pick 4 does start here. You have $15,000 claimers again. These are 3-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Who do you like here?
I actually like the 1 going with Austin, his horse. $13,000 purchase. Started off in a maiden special weight. Kind of just realized, hey, this isn't our level. Went down to 7,500, but it matches the price of the horse. So I actually like the 1 here to get it done. A couple horses I do not like is the 6 and the 7, to be honest. This looked very beatable. You can see here it was previously changed by this guy. It's Oklahoma bred. 0 for 4 here. Not a fan. The 6 changed. Look at the amount of jockeys have changed on the 6. 1, 2, 3. Back. 3, 4, 5 now almost. So I don't like that. Anytime that many jockeys change on a horse, I don't like. So yeah, like the 1 to get it done there, and with Tay-Tay's baby.
Now, I think Rennie brought up an interesting point. That was something that I know I've thought about before, but that I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the continuous jockey switching on a horse.
Yeah.
Does that kind of ring alarm bells for you when you see that like 5, 6 different jockeys have ridden a horse and not gotten the job done?
I mean, I have to say, honestly, I haven't heard that much. I don't disagree that that's probably not a good sign. But I probably don't look at riders as much as I should. So that's something I tend to not look at as much. I'm probably more of a pace handicapper and looking at trip and some other things. And so I haven't spent as much focus on it. I mean, I think sometimes there's reasons for it, right? If you're looking to achieve different things, or maybe you run a better race and now you're able to get a better rider, that sort of thing. I don't know. He was talking about the 6. Gee, he's pretty.
Yes, he was saying that horse has had just so many different jockey changes, and that kind of is a red flag for him. And it's a horse that he would then be a little wary of using if this horse has had so many different riders.
Well, I mean, you can see it a lot of different ways. I mean, he hit a different rider at Louisiana Downs. So I would take that out of the equation, and he's ridden by Sorensen and Kononis the rest of the time. So I don't know that I would really factor that in. I mean, and then, if we were channeling Ed, because he's not here, I think the opinions on the 6 and 7 have to start to change a little bit based on this odds board. The 7 becomes unplayable anywhere near 2 to 5, and the 6 becomes really interesting at a price like that.
Channeling your inner Ed, and some thoughts in the chat about how CJ Johnson is Team Mark over Team Ed in here. So maybe Ed's going to get booted from his spot going forward.
Shout out to CJ. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, no, that's great. It's great to have so many different people in the chat watching and saying hey, and also saw Jay in there and Bobby Marks and Josh and everybody. So cool. Keep the comments going in the chat, and excited to have our first non-4 horse field here.
I know, some good times, some good prices on pretty much everybody except the 7. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I'm going to show Rennie's pick 4 one more time just so everybody can get their tickets in, because if he scores and you saw it and you missed it, you're going to be upset. So just remember, take the 4 out of leg 3. That horse is not running today. That's going to be a single of the 5. So the ticket cost is going to be quite a bit lower. He was also planning on playing this one for the $1 instead of the 50-cent. And of course, as always, low 12% takeout at Sam Houston makes it such a great product for horse players. And there is a pretty big Saturday coming up at Gulfstream Park in Santa Anita. And have you given a look to those low 12% takeout cross-country pick 5s yet? All the dirt and all the turf ones?
I have not, but I'm looking forward to digging in. That they look fantastic, and 15 stakes races between both tracks. It's going to be a tremendous day on Saturday. So can't wait to dive in. So let me ask you this: Are you much of a vertical player or more horizontal?
It depends on the race. I've really only gotten into the multi-race sequences in the past, I want to say year or so. It's not always really been my cup of tea, just because I feel like I'm such a visual handicapper more so than reading the form and pace figures and all sorts of good stuff on there and handicapping the races on paper like a lot of other people do. So getting more comfortable with that. It's definitely been more fun to play more multis, pick 4, pick 5, and having some success with those lately just makes me want to keep playing them and keep getting more comfortable with them. And you hit a pick 5 not that long ago. I thought that I was on fire with my $4,700 one, and then a day later you got big bucks going with yours at Gulfstream. So now we just need to get Ed with some winning tickets,
Yes.
and we'll be quite the office going on here.
Exactly. Get the office pizza coming in and get the big scores coming in. It's certainly makes it a lot more fun game. Yeah, I was looking. I've become much more of a horizontal player lately, the last couple of years with pick 5s, especially. But originally was more of an exacta trifecta player, and I was just looking at this race, and maybe some strategy here on. Well, the first question is, I'm sure we're all frustrated with all these odds changes. The odds changes are getting crazy, and if we look at the will pays in the double, the 7 is $13 and the 1 and 2 are $21. So, they're actually not that far off. More like the 2 here at 2 to 1, like that's a little closer. So you just kind of have to wonder how much the odds are going to change on like the 1. So the 1's the same price and the double's a 2 is what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't make sense that 1's 2 to 1 and 1's 8 to 1. So then is the great odds change coming here? And like I said, the 6 is a little higher, but still probably not in a 9 to 1 range. So that's part of the consideration. But it seems like, if you have an opinion against the 7, then this could become a pretty nice vertical play.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point because you and I both play a lot of Gulfstream, and I think we've both taken a notice lately to, let's say you like a horse and they are a certain price and they're going in the gate and they're that price. And then by the time they cross the finish line, it's a totally different price. And it's like, what is happening? Obviously, there's some, computer automated wagering systems going on in the cause, but to affect the pools so significantly and have there be such a change in the odds from 1 second to the next second to the next second, it's like, what is going on? And are we really able to kind of keep up with the computers that are doing these kind of wagers, or, like what is happening? And I think that there might be a lot of speculation into what that is, but it's certainly frustrating for horse players because you think that you're getting a certain price and then you're not.
Yeah. I think the short answer is that the amount of dollars and volume coming in from the computers is just huge, and so it's just driving these numbers a lot, and it's driving them so much that the different computer teams are trying to predict which horses the other teams will be on, so they don't all get on the same horse. Like you wouldn't want to take a look at this 6 that I like a little bit and think, oh, maybe he's not 8, he's going to be 6, and I'll bet him hard, and then it'll be 5. But then somebody else bets him hard, and then he's 5 to 2. So they're doing all those calculations as well, and I think it's something that all the tracks are going to have to get a hold on. It's because it's just not there, and it's just a lot of frustration. See some tickets coming in from Luke and Nick. It's great. Everybody keep the tickets coming in. Love to see them.
Yeah. We'll give some of those a look here. Josh has got a 2-4, 1-7, 1-5, 1-4, still figuring out the third leg. Luke has a 2-7, 5, and then 5-6-7 going on, so a skinnier ticket there. From Nick, we have a $5 pick 3. He's doing 2 to the 3-7-8 to singling the 5. And then he also has a $1 pick 4 going 2-6, 3-7-8, 5, and then 1 through 4. And Luke agrees that this odds drop totally kills gamblers. And I think we can all agree that it's just confusing and can be a little frustrating. And we don't really know what we're going to get from the time that they go in the gate until the time that the race is over. And it's tough. I mean, like, technology is just smarter than us now in a lot of ways. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I mean, obviously the odds drops can go, they do go up at times too, and it can go in your favor. But I think, by and large, these are computer teams that have huge amounts of money invested in playing professionally and with
Right.
rebates and all that stuff.
And
All
I
right.
will say, a couple of times it has been in my favor. The odds have been in my favor.
Yeah.
So, the horse that I like, I think that they're going to be the favorite, and then they end up being the second choice or even the third choice or something like that. So it can work for you as well.
So here's a wager I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is going to win here, but I still like the 6 a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is bet the 6 to win, and then sort of take the 7 out by doing a straight exact to 7-6, and sort of like instead of a place bet. So $10 to win on the 6, $10 exact to 7-6. So basically, I just need the 6 to beat the rest of the field. It doesn't matter what the 7 does, which sometimes that works out. We'll see. Good luck to everybody in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So since they're going in the gate, and I will be ahead of this more so than Ed has in the past, I'll take that off. So you're just looking at our faces for now. I see that we have Rennie in the chat himself watching and sharing with all of his followers, and it's great to be able to share his thoughts and opinions. One of the most positive people I've ever seen on Twitter, and we know that we need a lot more positivity in the horse racing community in general, but, on Twitter especially. So it's nice to just have someone bringing good vibes, good advice, great handicapping skills, and just keeping, a good attitude about things on there. So
love his energy and enthusiasm, and great that he could join us, and marking up the form there. Got to love it. Love to see all the detail and thought put into everything.
Ed said you would like that, so I'm glad that he was right.
He's right. All right. Well, this 4 is like doing all right on the lead here, kind of cruising a little bit. And
yeah, 7 had to go
7's coming
super
up.
wide. Is coming on with a run, but I think it might be too late.
My 6 is doing nothing. No, this is the plotter fest.
One.
Oh no, he's deciding to come back. But the 7 does not want to win.
Nope.
But he will anyway.
Yep, gets there at a super short price.
Yeah.
I think. Very exciting. Go ahead.
I said not very exciting, but so 4 to 5 went up to 6 to 5. So, and the price, the 2 went down to 8 to 5. Really surprised the 2 came down that much.
I really wonder how many short-priced Asmussen horses just don't win at Sam Houston, because I feel like we've seen so many of them be like odds on or like super short prices and just not get the job done.
So one thing I've kind of noticed on the Asmussen horses, and I don't have the stats on it completely, so if anyone does, feel free to jump in. But the horses that are working at Louisiana Downs, which is, that's going to be like a satellite center, because they're running quarter horses, right? I think they're running quarter horses. But, they're not at Sam Houston. And like this one was working at Louisiana Downs for the winter, shipped in to Delta Downs for one work for some reason, and then comes over to Sam Houston. Those tend not to do very well. And I have run the stats on the first timers, and the first timers that were training at Louisiana Downs do not do well. So I have a feeling it carries over to the horses that have run there. And, and that's a good point. I mean, the Asmussens here, if you could figure out which ones are good and which ones are not, I have some friends in Discord, and we always say, which are the fake wards and which are the real wards? And it's like, if you could figure out the difference, it really helps. I mean, these, especially these trainers that win a lot, but they also, they flop a lot too. So.
Right. Well, you don't become the winningest trainer in North America by having all stakes quality horses. So.
Yeah. Not that 8 to 5 is a flop by any means, lost by a nose there or something. But all right. Well, that's the second one in the books, and looks like quite a few people are alive.
Yep. I would have not used that horse. Deserving favorite. The class job wasn't it for me, but just got up at the wire, and 6 to 5 is definitely better than 1 to 9. So at least there's that.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I was saying it's so tough, right? Because as horse players, if you're looking at odds and value, when you see the 2 to 5, you're like, no, I'm just going to go in a different direction. and even 3 to 5 or 4 to 5. 6 to 5 on this horse isn't quite as bad. And so maybe you would have a different train of thought if this, if it's 5 minutes to post and this horse is 6 to 5. So that just, it is, I think that's where it's just such a frustration trying to handicap all this.
Right. Absolutely. But the good thing about horse racing is that there's another opportunity in 20 minutes or less. And
Absolutely.
So I'm going to show some of Rennie's thoughts on the third race coming up here. You have $5,000 claimers, 4-year-olds and up, non-winners of 3. We're now going a route of ground, going a mile. So let's see what he has to say. You have $5,000 claimers, 4-year-olds and up. We're going a mile, stretching out a bit here. Who are you thinking in here?
Well, I mean, once again, it's just you got this 3 horse, a favorite that will probably get bet, but I think you can beat him. Claimed back here, ran some decent numbers, but I don't like it, so I'm going with the outside. Actually, my top chalk play of the early 5 races, I'm going to go with the 7, Wits Taquito. Really like this horse, flash speed, has made 16,000 at the track, was previously claimed here. So, this trainer's trying to get his money for sure after that claim. It's flash some speed. So I think the 7 can get it done as my best chalk play actually of the sequence. And then the 8 I would back up with. So I'm just going kind of chalky with 7, 8 here to get it done in race 3 there. American Made and Wits to keep.
Great stuff.
So somebody brought up a really great point that I have to point out. Has anyone ever noticed that Rennie sounds a little bit like Elvis? Hey, I mean, Rennie in the building could be the new greeting for him. So love to see it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'd have to say I'm probably in agreement with him on the 7, 8, and I'm probably a little more 8, 7, and then I think the 3.
Yeah, I have some concerns about the 8 at a short price. I don't know if that price is going to drift up in here, but this horse has only run on the dirt once and didn't run well. And this is a kind of lower percentage connections. This is a 7% jockey trainer combination. So I don't know. It's not going to take a killer effort to win here, but I think at a shorter price, I'm just not too sure about that one. The 7 makes sense, and these are pretty hot connections with Lane Leslie and Jake Caldwell. This horse is coming out of the same race as the 6 in Tapit City. This is a 22% jockey trainer combo, though, however, and this horse is also third off a layoff. I know a lot of horse players really like that angle of a third start of the form cycle, so this one makes sense to me.
That's the 7, or no, which one? The
7, yep.
Yeah. I know you talked about that one dirt race by the 8, but I love that race. I think, that's it's first off a 150-day layoff on a speed favoring track at Sam Houston, breaks from the 11 hole, and he's 5 wide the entire time. Like I don't think we could ask the horse to do anything more at that level. So I think the question is then he gets the turf race, he gets a little more foundation, and I think the question is, does he want the 2 turns? But I think the Bernardini should improve at 2 turns. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But back to, can you pull up the stats again on the routes for Sam Houston? We'll take a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in here, the Sam Houston dirt routes, what do you want to point out?
No, I just wanted to look at, so you can stalk here for sure. You can't get too far back though. And I think the definition of stalker here is what, 2 to 4 lengths, I believe, off the first call. So you can't be, 5, 6, 7 lengths off it and expect a good result. But you can be that 2 to 4 range, and that's where I would be hoping probably both the 7 and the 8 to be in.
Now, did you give the 4 a look at all in here? This horse is coming in off a win last time out.
Yeah.
He's now second off a layoff. Were you interested in that one at all?
I was. He was sort of my 4th choice, and it's funny because when you described the 1, I thought you were describing the 4, which was made a good run off a no pace and still made a good impression. And I think the 4 did that just as well as the 1. I don't really see a whole lot of difference between the two. So I thought that was interesting, and I think it just kind of comes down to a little bit of the dynamics of the race. I don't know. Were you liking him more or less, or?
I think the horse makes sense in here. I think that the 2 is taking a lot of money off that 10-1 morning line, because if you haven't noticed, Raylu is in town riding for Carl Broberg this evening. Raylu has been on fire lately. So I think that jockey change is going to end up being quite a factor in here for the number 2 horse, Hunk of a Hit. And of course, Carl Broberg doing well at Sam Houston and pretty much anywhere. So I think that one's a little bit interesting. But this horse is running for the 4th time overall at the meet and has yet to win at the meet. I think this jockey change is significant, though, and I think this horse will at least sit a little bit closer than some of the other ones in here, because this seems like a pretty paceless event to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the danger. Who could go with the 3?
Right.
If none of these really go with the 3, so the 3's never stretched out. I thought that was interesting, and certainly if he's unchallenged, I'm not sure why he would stop. But it's kind of hard to. I guess the 7 would probably be the horse to go.
Yeah, if anybody's gonna be up close, maybe Raylu gets aggressive with the 2 and switches up tactics a little bit and is like, "No, we're going." I don't know.
Yeah, but he's 5th by 4 in pretty much every route, other than breaking from the rail a couple back. Certainly anything's possible. I think maybe the 7. Now that I look at it, he wasn't that far back in the 7 furlong race, and he was, 2nd vying for the lead last time out, and he's dropping in class a little bit, so he'd probably be the most likely one to at least try to track the 3, if not stay with him a little bit.
Right. We do have a pick 6 carryover at Sam Houston tonight. I didn't look a ton at the pick 6 sequence. I was wondering if you had any thoughts, since there is some of that carryover money seeding the pool this evening.
I hadn't yet. Unfortunately, I've been playing catch up all day because, like I said, I'd kind of been under the weather most of this week. So, yeah, just kind of looked at the early part of the sequence. I've played some of the pick 6s at Sam Houston, and it's fun, but I have to say the money's so good in these pick 3s that it just makes sense. And, to play those and it's like you could just play them every race, even if you hit the first leg, and then you just keep them going. And that, then you don't have that frustration where it's like, you have your pick 5 and you got 3 out of 5, but you get nothing for it. 4 out of 5 and you get nothing for it. Whereas pretty much the same amount of money you could string together, even a couple pick 3s are going to pay well. If you get more than that. So I've been trying to actually do a little bit more of that. And only kind of go for the pick 6 at Sam Houston at that 50-cent level when, I find something that I'm really intrigued by and really want to dive in on.
Nice. Were you much of a Sam Houston player prior to the start of our weekly live stream, or was this track kind of not as much on your radar?
Oh, I've always loved playing Sam Houston. It's a great track. And I think the combination of, having turf racing in the winter time at night, I think that's something that's great about all the Texas tracks, or I'd say like the circuit with Lone Star and Remington, is you get some nice turf racing and some good racing at night. And I think Sam Houston might run at night a little bit more than Lone Star, which is great. And then, Remington's a good meet as well. I think they're sort of under promoted for the product, which is a pretty good product. But as far as Sam Houston, yeah, it's absolutely, and there's less product in the winter. So to have a good track with, generally good fields and turf racing is very appealing. How about you?
I mean, this is the first time I've really fully tuned in to Sam Houston racing. I would always tune in for the big day, like Ladies Classic Day. Of course, when Midnight Bizu won, when Latruska won. But it's nice to get a feel for the nighttime racing here. The takeout's great, low 12%. So as I'm gradually expanding my wagering menu, it's nice to see all these other options, see how things are done at different tracks, and get a feel for, who's hot where and what connections you can rely on, and, all the different data that we have access to, and learning about how things work at different meets. So not as much beforehand, but definitely picking it up as we go along.
For sure. All right, so let's try to zero in on a pick 3. How about do you want to pull up Rennie and see what he has in race? I was gonna say race 5. Have we looked at? I mean, I know we kind of went through it quickly, but
yeah, we went through race 3 for him, which is this one coming up. We did get a nice request in the chat for more Rennie, so happy to oblige. And I'll show his thoughts on the 4th race. That's going to be the one after this one. 4th race of the card. We have a starter optional claiming event. Fillies and Mares. They're going 7 furlongs. Who do you like over here?
I mean, you got a pretty beast of a horse in this race, Lady Avenue. Interesting situation. I don't know what happened. Austin knows his horses. He let it go, and then the horse has lost 1 cent. So it's an interesting situation. So I think the 5's going to be tough to beat. But I'm using the 4 with it in the pick 4. I think the 4, pick up the phone, to come off it. 7 furlongs, has a win at the distance. Jockey trainer, definitely get along. Trained by Asmussen, and it's been kind of it's won once since then. Some allowance, facing some tough horses, but I just go 4-5 too deep. I don't like the ones, the Carl horses. I'd toss both those. My question mark would be the 7. This, if you guys like, this is an interesting horse. 2 horses, I love that. They win that whole, but the 7's be really tough. But the 1s, I would toss both the 1s and go with the 4 and the 5, Lady Avenue, and pick up the phone.
Yeah, so I liked that horse pick up the phone a lot too. Unfortunate scratch in there. So I think it's kind of like everybody's thinking that the 5 is a pretty reliable single. I would be honestly pretty surprised if that horse ends up getting beat in race number 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And then can you pull up Rennie for race 5, since we probably won't be on that anyway at that time?
Yeah, sure.
And then we can kind of talk about this pick 3.
Going a mile. Who do you like in here?
Oh boy, I love these type of races. It's literally my favorite. Maiden special weights. Their horses haven't won yet. What's going on? Kind of figuring everything out. Will they ever figure it out? Unfortunately, horses don't win. Horses don't win 2 to 3 races in their lifetime. It's just is what it is. So kind of my breakdown of this race, I felt an opportunity here, and definitely 2 just out of place. Sorry, but you have the 3 here. CJ Thoroughbreds and Danny Fish combo. You don't know the cost of the horse, so and this is a big purse. It's a decent race for a maiden for sure. It's already made 12,000, but you don't know how much it costs. So who knows? And it's showed some, obviously some talent. Once on turf has a 50. I don't know. Definitely tossing the 4. I don't like it when they've ran this many maidens and then they just throw them into a stakes race, and then back to the maiden special rate. Toss the 4, and it's already made $46,000, and it costs $2,500. So I mean, just kind of is what it is. My top pick's the 5. Switch Barnes, and it has speed, and it actually ran on the Houston turf as first race of the life. So maybe it's just got better. My top pick is the 5 of the race, Just Claire. And then my other horse I think is sneaky. You have Lumberjack Leslie here. You got 2 4s, Change Barnes, who knows? Cheap horse, but it's made $27,000. So I mean, pretty much free roll. The real price, I think, and the horse that could surprise, I have it in my pick 4, is this one. It's bought for 10,000. It's faced really good horses compared to others. I mean, look at this last race. 2 winners are the next out, and the Tomlinson number has a 405 Tomlinson number, and they're Texas bred. These are all Texas breds. So, you know, if I'm in a race and it's like a bigger Texas bred, unfortunately, I love you guys, Texas, but you know how it is. So they're all Texas bred. You have a 405 with the Texas bred. Watch that one as my price. It's $10,000. So that's my price in the race there. So we're going to go with the 5, Just Claire. And then we're going to add Lumberjack Leslie. And the 1, I think it's Cara Cantina. Cara Cantina?
Did you have any interest in the 1, Cara Cantina? Because I know I watched Jessica Paquette's preview of the races tonight, and that was one of the horses that she talked about.
You know, I'm looking it up now because the Cara Contis are running well, and I think that's an interesting angle. I think he makes a really good point. I think that the 5 furlong sprint in only the second race of the career on Cara Cantina was a pretty decent race, and it's, you know, horse isn't really running well on dirt, so no big deal there. But where's the stats? So they're, well, Cara Contis are 14% dirt sprinters and 17% turf routers. So there's an improvement, maybe not huge. I really liked in that 5th race CJ's horse there.
Oh no, we've lost Mark. While we wait for Mark to return, it'll be a mystery as to which horse he likes in there. Let me see if I can bring him back here. Josh making a great point in here that the key to some of these cheap turf races is finding the actual turf horses. I think that that's a great point. Some of these horses that kind of flop on the dirt and then they're put on the turf as kind of like, well, we don't know what else to do with them. Maybe they'll run better on the grass versus a lot of horses that are actually bred for the grass and are meant to be running on it. And that was the plan all along, instead of kind of not really finding their place on the dirt. I feel like the sire that we talk about with a lot of turf horses is American Pharoah, who his progeny end up on the turf quite a bit. And it's kind of like, are they actually meant to be running on the turf, or are they just kind of not really running as expected on the dirt? Lost Mark. I have to let him know he's gone. There we go. Mark, I lost you. You're back.
I'm back? All right.
You're back. You left me with a cliffhanger there. I didn't know who you liked.
Oh, okay. I really loved the 3 Honor Given, the CJ Thoroughbred horse in the 5th. And really liked that turf race, second time out at Remington. So, you know, started maiden claimer on the dirt. Well, actually, the first race was scheduled for turf, went to the mud, brought him right back to the turf at Remington. And if you look at the pace in that race, so the horse dropped way back, 9th by 8, kind of came for what looked like a pretty strong finish, finished his 2nd by 2, the competitive number, but just really picking up ground at the end. And one of those looks like a slow pace race where it really didn't have a chance anyway. So a pretty strong close, nice comment that he finished well. Also did it from an outside post. We got the same jockey up 4 times in a row. That should make Rennie happy. And yeah, I think this horse is just primed. And, you know, I really liked where Rennie was going with Cara Cantina. I'm not quite there, but that was interesting. I think he was spot on kind of blowing off this 4, Cause I'm Divine. And so I think you can get some value by going against the 4. And, you know, it's an interesting morning line on the 3 being 2-1. I think you might get actually higher than that. And so I think you could come in with a pretty strong pick 3 here, especially singling Lady Av coming up in the 4th. right? So you could go, I think I would just go 3, 7, 8 here with the 5, with the 2. Just go 3 with single.
Interesting. So you would use the 2 in race 5?
Yeah, it's just those are, to me, that's a great angle, is when you get a horse that can really close on the turf like that against no pace. And I'm not really making any predictions whether there will or won't be a pace here today, but as long as it's reasonable. Another way to look at it, I think Rennie kind of hit on it, is look at the 4 calls on Divine. 18 starts, probably looks like more than half of them on turf. Well, we've seen what she can do. She makes a big run and she runs third, and probably will do something similar today. I would much rather take the upside of a horse that's been on the turf one time, ran against a slow pace, and made a big move like that. So, we'll see if today's the day or not.
Michael Sutton wants to know if you have any super high 5 tickets going on here.
Yeah, wow.
You're on
I
the
haven't.
spot.
I do play the high 5s. I haven't played them as much with the jackpot, because you've got the jackpot odds against. But for 20 cents, it's fun in a small field here. Wow, though. I mean, you really just kind of need to get something in there to get the price up. I guess if you don't like the 3, you could do a high 5. Well, see, look, there's $790 in the pool, so it must have just gotten hit. So I wouldn't recommend making the play, but if you're going to make it, I would do something like a 7-8 with 3-7-8 with 3-4-7-8 and just kind of spread. But the way I actually like to play them is I'll take a horse like the 6, that's a longer price, the longest price on the board, and single it in 5th. Assuming I like the horse and I think it's a horse that can run up. And I think it's an angle that actually using superfectas a lot is people, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll look at a 30-1, that's 30-1 to win, but they don't really recognize that horse is not 30-1 to run 3rd or 4th. And so if you can key it in the bottom half of the trifecta or superfecta, you can a lot of times find a nice price, especially with sort of those long-time bridesmaid types that like always come running 3rd or 4th, especially closers. If you look at a horse like, I guess even the 6 here, I don't know, these are all so even, it's kind of hard to separate. But if you take a good closer in a 10-horse field, they're definitely not going to run, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th if they're closing at the end. And if they're not good, they're not going to run 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. So they're going to have to finish like 4th, 5th, or 6th. So they become kind of nice horses to play in superfectas and high 5s at the bottom. Just kind of an odd way to play. But then the other thing you're doing is you're buying tickets that have long shots in them instead of boxing around, with a lot of favorites and combinations that don't. You never end up with a ticket that you hit that doesn't pay well, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I think that structuring your ticket so that you're finding something that's going to pay worth your while is a conversation in and of itself that a lot of people have a lot of opinions about. And I think while there's no one particular right way to do it, I think that there's definitely a lot of wrong ways to do it. But I'm going to say, as horses are going to the gate in here, I have not yet shown Rennie's intro for the races. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that going.
Okay.
Giving the people what they want to see of more Rennie here. See if I can make that happen. Let's see. Get this opened up.
We're in a viral loop there.
I know, right? It's very meta. All right. Let me get this playing for everybody here. Welcome to a very special guest of mine, Rennie Time on Twitter, who has been bringing that smoke to the horse racing community. Want to give us an introduction?
Hey, yo, let's go! Wednesday, halfway home. Hey, that's some Sam Houston love today. I'm going to give out the pick 4 here and some input on the first 5 races. So, got to warm up with the Don Julio.
bringing all that positive energy to the game, which we need so much more of. So let's get going. Just wanted to make sure that everybody was able to see what Rennie has to bring to the table. You can find him on his Twitter at RennieTime. So much fun, and this game is supposed to be fun, and I think that he really embodies all that, as well as some great handicapping that we've had the pleasure of hearing this evening. So great to have guests on our live stream. Great to have you on instead of Ed for a change, switching things up. I'll have to share my candy with him next week, unfortunately, but he does a good enough job. I guess he can stay.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you. Glad I could join you and play a little Sam Houston. And we'll see. Good luck, everybody, the rest of the way.
I will stay on until this race runs out so we can bring those results in here. I'm sure you're watching at home, Mark. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, I think the 3's on the lead and the 7 is tracking. So it looks like it's still fairly competitive at this point.
Right, and they are not going too fast at all. The quarter was kind of slow. The half got a little bit faster, but I think we were kind of right on about this not really being a crazy all-out pace race, and the 3's seeming to have a pretty easy time of it on the front end. I don't know if they'll be able to hang on, but
they're catching him. I mean, the 7 was able to kind of sit off him and make his run, and he's doing that, and the 8's making his run, and 4's even in there. So
let's see.
It's like 7-3. They're going to battle it to the wire. There's some bumping.
Three's pretty game in here. Let's see.
Yeah, it's pretty game. There's a little incident of bumping, and well, very game.
Yeah.
But 7 does it.
Well, 7 gets it done in here. Wits Taquito, one of Rennie's choices, one of your choices, a horse that a lot of people got to. So hopefully you're still alive in all your multis. Hopefully you had that horse included. And just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to our shortened Sam Houston live stream this evening. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Ed will be returning. So Make sure you like and subscribe and tune in for next time.
Yep, let's do it. Pick some winners. Block Party said he hit everything. That's awesome. And thanks to Rennie for joining.
All right. Thanks, Rennie, for tuning in and being in the chat and for all your great opinions. Thanks, Mark. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. See you.